I think a lot of us, our lives are no more mindful than the meaningless scrolling of our social feeds, where we're just going from one thing to the next, and we don't even have enough focus to watch a video from start to finish before we scroll on. And we're doing that in our lives.
The cure for exhaustion is not rest. The cure for exhaustion is wholeheartedness.
There is a belief that if I just work harder, I'm going to accomplish the things I need to accomplish.
They feel like they've been climbing the ladder their whole life, only to find out it's been leaning on the wrong wall.
Yeah.
Like, this is not what I signed up for.
Hey, and welcome to the Living Richly podcast. So glad that you're here with us today. Have you ever been in a place where you are going and going and going, and you're just striving and striving, and then realize you're not getting anywhere?
Yep.
We're gonna be talking about that today. It's great to have you here with us, and Steve is with us again as a guest on the show, and Eric, of course. We're going to be talking today. We're going to focus in on leadership and what it is like to be a leader who just is busy, but not accomplishing much. But we know that even if you are not a leader, you can relate. There are probably times in your life where you just feel exhausted from all the busyness. And when somebody asks you, hey, what have you accomplished? You kind of duck your head in the sand and go, don't ask me that.
Yeah, spinning your wheels, going nowhere fast, right? As the saying goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What about for you guys? Has there been a season? Talk to me. Let's just talk about experiences or situations where you've been going nonstop, and then somebody asks that question, so what have you accomplished? And it's like crickets.
Yeah, there is a definite myth that says busy equals productive.
Right.
In fact, you might flip that totally on its head, that actually the opposite. The focus is productive, but busy is not necessarily productive. Man, when I look back over my life, and probably a lot of listeners can relate to this, the busiest time is when I had small kids.
Oh, God, yeah.
And
right.
Which for me is about 4,500 years ago.
Yeah. When TV was black and white.
It was black and white, that's right.
It was Pharaoh the Second, I think, was in power at the time.
Yeah. No, not that. It was King George. But you wake up in the morning, and there's a kid, and then there's a demand and another demand, and then you go rush to this and you rush to that, and at the end of the day, you actually look back and say, "What did I do today?"
Yeah.
And that can become not just a day of that, but a week, a month, an entire season, and unless there's a conscious shift, you can really make that. Even after the kids are gone, your brain is still in that zone of what's next, and never really reflecting on doing what matters. So definitely for me, is that era of my life.
Yeah, I can certainly relate to that as well. I mean, I think we talk about first formation, right, which is our family of origin, and how it so shapes the way that we view ourselves, we view the world. But there's a second formation, which is kind of ongoing, but in those early years of your career, where you're first learning what it means to be a dad, be a husband, be a good partner to your person, and in my case, be a leader. I've been in leadership. I did the math the other day, 38 years of leadership, pushed to the front of the room since I was 17 years old.
But in dog years, that's 87.
Something like that. Yeah. But you realize, I realize as we, have done a lot of work on this, because for me, kicking up dust, staying active, almost addicted to adrenaline at some points, where any slowing down of that internal clock or internal pace felt like I was failing or letting people down, or I was going to drop the ball. And so felt a need to keep that energy going at that level, but not really knowing the difference back then between activity and productivity. So kicking up dust meant I must be doing good, when in reality, what I was just doing is burning the candle at both ends, often not making progress towards the things that really mattered to me. I was literally following the shoulds, musts, and have tos of other people,
Right.
on full bore adrenaline, right?
Yeah. And we see it a lot. And I want to kind of sit here for a few minutes around the myth of it, or the belief or the idea, because we see it certainly in our coaching. We talk to leaders all the time. I mean, one of the first things we do is we do a check-in, usually with most coaching calls.
Yeah.
And almost always when you say, how you doing?
Yeah, busy,
right? And it's a badge of honor for some, but they do. I hear it all the time from business owners. It's when things are kind of in struggle or there's issues. I just got to dive in more. I'm doing 16-hour days. I'm just and they're seeing the busyness as the metric for success, rather than actually looking at something else. But there is a belief that if I just work harder, I'm going to accomplish the things I need to accomplish.
Much of it is driven by fear, and fear is often covering up control. We stay busy because it's a way of trying to gain some form of control over our lives that can feel very much out of control, right? So when you get present to that, you realize what's actually driving me. One term I hear a lot from founders and entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you guys do as well, and I've heard it in personal conversations too with folks casually outside of work on many occasions, where they describe themselves as driven. I'm a driven individual. And I'm always quick to remind them to say, like, that a car is driven. When you describe yourself as driven, you're literally admitting something else is behind the wheel of my life, driving me towards something, but I'm not even clear. The cars nowadays, I guess you could say, well, with the GPS knows where you're going, but oftentimes we are being driven by these forces of insecurity and fear and control and trying to manage all of this pressure. And we feel that somehow by staying active, if I don't slow down, maybe it's all going to come together for me.
Yeah. And then you add on top of that this swirl of the rhythm in the world around us is everyone's in this, how you doing? Busy. How you doing? Busy. You must be busy too. And you kind of feel, oh, if I'm not busy, I must be doing something wrong.
Right.
Because everything seems like a frenzy. Everything seems like it's speeding up, and I better not slow down. Then maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'm not keeping up with the energy of the era, the energy of the age. And that's another dangerous way that we just sort of double down on that busyness or that frantic pace. And we have to say, stop the insanity. This is not working.
I love that you raised that, because I was actually reflecting on that in preparation for this conversation, this whole notion of the social pressure. So even though there is more awareness today than there has been probably ever on mental health, and we refer to even our approach to leadership as the leadership revolution, that you can build something really meaningful, significant, without losing your soul, without driving yourself into the ground. That's the revolution, is that you can build something of great substance and do it in such a way that you're still healthy and whole and thriving. But there's incredible social pressure, even though most people would embrace that message and say, yeah, that's what I want.
Right.
There's this incredible pressure to keep up with the Joneses.
Right.
And if John down the street is burning the midnight oil, and I feel I need to as well. When have you ever gone to a networking event or you're talking to someone, and when you did ask them how they're doing, well, I'm slowing down these days.
Right.
And I'm establishing proper boundaries. And I'd be shocked if I ever heard that. I think
I've heard it
know
at a foundry meeting.
I found it. Those are different conversations.
Absolutely.
I've experimented with that. I think I told this story before on the podcast about in an emergency room, in an ER. The doctors don't say, I'm busy. They say, I'm ready. How are you doing?
Yeah.
We're ready. That's the answer. We got a lot of things going to come through the door today, a lot of emergencies, disasters. Are you busy? No, I'm ready. So, of course, I thought, well, that's a good way to answer people. So I'm out in the dog park with my dog, and I'm people say, how you doing? They say, busy. And then they ask me, and I say, well, I'm ready. and it doesn't go over well.
No.
It's like, well, and then
Pardon? For what?
Ready for what? And then they walk away quickly. There is a sort of a social button that when it gets pressed, you better press it back the same way, and we all agree that we're out of control. We all agree that we're in over our head and overwhelmed, but it doesn't have to be that way.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and I want to differentiate a little bit around what we mean by busy, because years ago you created, and we all plugged in and helped with this, with the sophisticated leader model, and we talk about at that emerging leader, that early young leader doesn't have a lot of tools in their toolbox.
No, they don't.
Nor
do they have a lot of experience.
Right. But what they do usually have is energy.
Yep.
They have the ability to really go at it. And I don't think any of us are suggesting that in and of itself is bad or wrong. And I don't want people to tune out right now going, oh, they're trying to say we should be just coasting or slack. That is not what we're talking about when we talk about busy. What we're talking about here is busy, unproductive busyness versus there are seasons, all three of us have been in seasons where we are burning the midnight oil, where we are going hard because of whatever situation, crisis, issue that we're dealing with requires that extra stamina. It's for a season, though.
100%. And there are different versions of busy. And to your point, I think someone who's earlier stage leader, earlier stage career, when you're younger, that's the time to invest that energy to get momentum, right? So if you're going to invest, and certainly that's going to be required even in other seasons of your life as the demand calls for it. But it's about what that busy is being invested in. Is it being invested in? I think a lot of us, our lives are no more mindful than the meaningless scrolling of our social feeds where we're just going from one thing to the next and we don't even have enough focus to watch a video from start to finish before we scroll on. And we're doing that in our lives. And a lot of leaders, a lot of people leave so much potential on the table because the lessons that are unfolding throughout their lives aren't even being paid attention to, right? So we're not recognizing the successes. We're really not learning from the mistakes and the failures because we're just moving from one thing to the. I think a lot of folks are afraid to slow down because they don't want to get quiet and listen to what's actually going on inside, to be honest.
Yeah, the silence is terrifying.
Yeah.
The cliche,
I know that was,
right? The
that was me
silence
for
is
years.
deafening, but yes.
I remember my mentor saying, like, Eric, why don't you slow down? And I was in a dark season of my life. And I said, I don't want to because I'm afraid if I slow down, I feel like velocity is what's holding me together right now. And if I slow down, I might just come apart.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't want to get quiet and listen to what's going on inside my head.
We know when busyness is falling into that unproductive, all of that, because we start to drift. We start to, there's a shift that happens. What is that for you guys? When you are in that season, when you realize, wait a minute here, I'm now being busy for busy's sake, or I'm being busy to keep from hearing the quietness. What are those early signs for you that you recognize and go, oh, I see what's starting to happen here?
Yeah, for me, I abandon the practices that keep my insides calm or not busy, because there is external busyness, which comes and goes, and sometimes it's busier and less busier. But internally, my goal is I don't want to be busy internally, like anxious, gerbil running on the wheel, or having that.
Yeah, gerbil on steroids running on the wheel.
That edge, that edge.
Yeah.
So in order to manage that internal world, I have to have my practices, my journaling, the podcast I listen to, maybe a prayer here and there, in my mornings in particular. And when I drift from that, and usually it's pulled by the external busyness. Oh, I don't have time to journal this morning. I got to jump right into this, or I better. Because I'm journaling, some peaceful thoughts, my inner world, but my brain is saying there's an email you need to send. There's there's a contact you need to reach out to.
There's something you forgot yesterday.
Yeah. And so then my journal's half completed, and I'm on my phone and then I'm gone. Then the day I've lost.
So I'm laughing right now because that was literally me this morning. If I was to open up my journal and show you, it literally ends. It's the sentence is half finished.
It drifts off
because I'm doing my. I just finished reading. I'm doing my journaling, and I hear the garbage trucks outside. Our garbage time has changed, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, the garbage, and
I should show you the number of journal entries where all of a sudden it's like, oh, and now I'm back.
Right.
No. Whoops.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't leave my journal here because it would be a dangling participle.
Yeah.
I need to finish the sentence.
I need to finish the sentence. Yeah. Yeah. For me, I think I would agree with you. Like it's very similar for me that when I am not managing my internal pace
Right.
well, and allowing sort of, instead of, I often have said this to people, like, don't be the thermometer in the room, be the thermostat, right? Because a thermometer just reads the temperature and adjusts to it accordingly. Thermostat sets the temperature. And I think it's a good analogy of, are you the pace that you keep, are you responding to life as a thermometer or a thermostat? Are you setting the dial? Are you more in control? And when I'm not, I do the same. I start to stray from my practices. I'm not investing in the things that keep me sane and keep me healthy and centered. But I do think it's worthy to note that there's busy as an investment and there's busy as an escape. We were just talking about the different kinds of busy. Burnout and feeling overwhelmed. And when most people describe busy, when they say that to you, they're rarely saying it with a smile. Like most people say, I'm busy, right? Like it's not that.
Usually they shake their head.
They're saying, oh, I'm busy, right? So that to me is the wrong kind of busy, because when you're, we would say, like this week, today we end what has been an amazing week together, an amazing week for the business. For me, started with an interview about the Foundry on television, which was great, and then we spent several days together in strategic planning for the business, and tons of clarity came, and we launched a new event for our clients that went super well. A busy week, but I feel tired, but I feel energized, right? Because that was an investment into things that matter, things that have purpose for me. It's about impact. Busyness as an escape, again, I referred to it earlier, is often an avoidance. We're trying to avoid dealing. So we're kind of just spinning our wheels. It's remembering that when we're feeling overwhelmed and burnt out, it's often not because we're working too hard or doing too much. We're just doing too much of the wrong things, too many of the wrong things. They're not. It's not about working too hard or being too busy. It's about misalignment.
Right.
We're literally out of alignment with who we are, and so any energy in that direction is going to deplete you.
Yeah, there's a beautiful quote. I'm not going to be able to remember the author's name, who said, "The cure for exhaustion is not rest. The cure for exhaustion is wholeheartedness."
Oh,
which is at the end of the day, I'm collapsing into bed, exhausted,
physically tired,
but so fulfilled. A smile on my face, and looking forward to tomorrow. And to the point that you're making, a lot of people think I'm so tired, I need to go to a beach for 7 days and just stare into the ocean and drink margaritas. And sometimes that's
not
good.
a bad deal.
Sometimes that's good. But you come back.
I need that right now. Not because of any other reason, just that sounds good.
Yeah,
that
sounds
like,
actually. Can we stop the podcast?
We're gonna part 2 coming next month. We're off.
But you can come back from wherever you are, Costa Rica, Mexico, and still be exhausted, and still be miserable, and still be stressed. It was just a 7-day reprise from that. But wholeheartedness says, I can be going all day, all week, joyfully, with a sense of inner contentment, and because I'm loving what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Not all the time, of course. No one ever lives that. It's a fantasy. But for the most part, I love what I do, and I'm living my life wholeheartedly.
And I love that. There was a really deep conversation that happened in the Foundry's WhatsApp group. And again, for those of you listening, or if you're watching this, those of you watching it, we're going to put it right on the screen right now, foundryformen.com. You can go there. If you're a man, a leader in business, and you're just feeling like you are overwhelmed or you are disconnected, you're alone, I really do encourage you to check out the Foundry. We have the WhatsApp group that you've created for that is so amazing, and the powerful, rich conversations. And there was a conversation not that long ago around somebody who asked the question, is it wrong that I'm always having to look forward to the next thing?
Right.
And a lot of people, without judgment of that, because people were recognizing, yeah, that's me as well. And I know you commented on this, and I did, and a number of others, about how when we go away on vacation, I'm not looking forward to vacation as oh my God, I just need a break because I'm so fulfilled each and every day. Most days I put my head on my pillow feeling fulfilled. Life is rich and full. Man, I had incredible conversation. I had a full day of client conversations. I'm exhausted mentally, but man, my heart is full.
Yeah. Right.
And we talked a bit about that is if we're chasing after and needing, that's a great sign that your busyness is perhaps misguided busyness if you are constantly in a state of needing a vacation.
Right. Yes. Or
Right.
I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait.
Right.
I can't wait to get out of here.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, again, you already referenced it, but you can go away and maybe you do manage to rest. I remember the first time I burnt out, I was a much younger leader. And that was back in a day when people didn't really understand burnout. And so I was just granted time off. And certainly being out from under the pressure, I didn't realize how badly misaligned I was at the time, and was still in a role that did not want to be in, that did not serve me well, that this is back in my church days where I knew this isn't for me anymore, but felt the need to stay to support my family and everything else. Well, they gave me I think it was 2 or 3 months off. And I did manage to rest during that time because now the pressure of the day to day was off of me, and gradually felt a little bit better. But I'll tell you, within 2 weeks of being back, I was worse than before I took the break.
Wow.
Because nothing had changed.
Right.
I re-entered what was lacking in purpose, lacking in alignment, not true to my core values. The system hadn't changed at all. And so now today, when I work with leaders who are in burnout, we talk about the internal work we're going to have to do in terms of getting clear on what is purpose for you, what are your values, and are you in alignment? And two, what changes to the system and the context are going to have to happen to make sure that you don't just keep spinning your wheels going nowhere fast kind of thing, right? And in the case of burnout, again, the number of conversations that I've been having lately, and I don't know if it's maybe the Foundry now because of it, I'm hearing more of it, but the number of leaders that are just on the edge is quite frightening.
There's so much. I want to go back to that notion of what you talked about with control, busyness being because we see it. There's so much anxiety in the world today, so much uncertainty with wars or potential wars and economy and just all of the stuff that's going on, that we do find that with a lot of leaders. And I think this would be true of men and women leaders. I don't think that we would distinct between the two, although there's something about the way the male mind is wired in this, is that we feel like we've got to be okay, I got to do more. I've got, and it is trying to control the uncontrollable, trying to control that. And so there's this myth that comes up that when balls start getting dropped, the calendar, you start messing, you start becoming really disorganized, and the idea is, well, that's okay because I'm busy. And I'm trying to do more here, but that notion of trying to be controlling these things is such a myth that we have to break. That it has to change that thinking.
Yeah, that's so true. The myth is strong. The myth it endures, and even when you feel like you've moved away from it snaps you back in. It pulls you back in from that. It's a combination of the way we were raised, our first formation, the trauma that we experienced, but also the sneaky part is the successes that busyness can bring. So we think, oh, because I was busy then and I got the job or the raise or the promotion or whatever, therefore that's the only way to do life is to full throttle, red line. And so that gets reinforced, but it doesn't always work the same way. You have to shift and realize, step back and say, this is not the season for that. This is the season for shifting into a different kind of energy.
Well, it's like when it works often enough. It's worked for us enough that we keep trying it, hoping it'll keep working.
Right.
It's sort of like one of the best dog training techniques, right? Is when you're trying to teach a dog a new trick, you treat them every time, right?
Right.
And then as they get better at it, then you only treat them once in a while and just good boy, right? And you start replacing the treat with just a verbal affirmation. And in time, you can even stop doing that.
Right. And the dog thinks this is a ripoff.
Well, probably. But the dog is thinking, if I do it,
Right.
maybe this time. Right. And so it keeps them in that state. And I think we fall prey into this almost just animal behavior of, well, it worked for me before.
Right.
And to your point, maybe it didn't work last time and it probably hasn't worked for me in a while, but maybe this one time, if I just hustle and muscle my way through, I'll get through. And there are seasons, again, there are moments where that is absolutely required. But as a general way of being, as a general way of living,
Right.
Again, not great. Like it's not, you end up, how many leaders have we talked to who have built very successful businesses and have everything that most people would want, materially speaking, the big house, the cars, the vacation lifestyle, right? The status.
Right.
And yet they feel like they've been climbing the ladder their whole life only to find out it's been leaning on the wrong wall.
Yeah.
Like this is not what I signed up for, is what we hear them say, because they come to recognize the cost of the price I've had to pay to get here. And they're looking to make a change. They're looking to tap into something different. And that's what we're talking about here, is how do you find your purpose? How do you find your how do you find your focus and put more of your best energy in that direction?
So we know that the busyness is often a sign of misalignment. We know that the busyness, the ladder's on the wrong wall. What have you seen? And let's talk about some of the conversations we've had with leaders. What are some of the ways that the misalignment shows up for leaders that we have in the conversations we have? What are some of the ways that misalignment?
So many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's so many here, but
I'm thinking of one client in particular who really wanted to make everybody else happy. Like that was for whatever reason. That's how they live their life. Is my team happy? Is my spouse happy? Are my kids happy?
People pleasing.
People pleasing. And of course, that gets you some success in life. You make other people happy and you get some sort of reward and you get some sort of treat from the people that you're pleasing. And good boy. Yeah. But as we, in our session, he just said, I am miserable. I'm ready. I'm just all day making other people happy. And I don't even know what I want.
yeah.
It wasn't even that he was ignoring what he wanted. He didn't even know what he wanted. And so the tool that I said, well, let's walk through this tool. We just called it a life purpose or life by design tool. And we explored what do you want your life to look like? You do the retirement speech. Imagine 20 years from now. What's your retirement speech like? Or imagine 40 years from now, and it's the eulogy that's being shared at your funeral. What do you want to be said about you? And you could see the lights go on. It's like, oh, I don't want them just to say that I made everybody else happy. I mean, that should be part of my eulogy, but I want other things. And then we began to explore, what are your core values and what lights you up, makes you feel alive. And it was not easy to find it because he had never really thought about himself.
Yeah.
So that's one tool. My life by design chart or my life by design conversation or path to help you get into that place where you're actually living your life in a way that matters.
Yeah.
Well, listen, if Keegan and Leahy are correct in the massive study that they conducted about adult brain development, so how your brain develops after the age of 25-ish, because until then it's still physically developing, and it develops with or without your cooperation. It just happens. You go from baby to infant to child to adolescent to young adult, and the brain goes through so much development throughout that period of your life. And it used to be accepted that at the age of 25, that's it. That's what you got, and now you got to work with that the rest of your life. Good luck, right? So hopefully you weren't outside on recess when they were handing out the smarts, right? But they found
I think that's what happened to me. I think I went outside for recess too long.
I shouldn't play that last game of murder ball. But they came to realize, of course, all the science of the last 20 years has completely debunked that the brain actually continues to develop over time, that you can be continuing to shape. Neuroplasticity tells us you can continue to form new neural pathways right until the day you drop dead, basically, like right into your old age. But that development requires effort. It requires your participation. And they identified 3 categories, and I won't go into them all, but the first one is called the socialized brain.
Yes.
And the socialized brain represents they estimate about 70% of the population. 70%.
That live in the socialized brain.
The socialized brain is the lowest level of adult brain development, where the brain and the person exist for one reason and one reason alone, and that's to fit in.
Right.
Wow.
People pleasing, compromising on your own sense of self and values in order to be part of the crowd. That is how 7 out of 10 people will live their entire life and never break out of that mold. This is now add busyness to that, add a hectic pace, add all of life's demands on top of someone who doesn't have a sense of who they are and what they stand for and what their goals are, and are living just to please others. And listen, I've been there. I have made some of my life's worst mistakes have been because I didn't know who I was and what I stood for, and accepted things in my life that I should have never accepted and tolerated.
Right.
Thankfully, that's shifted, and part of why this podcast started, because of a kind of an inner revolution of my own in my own life, and now we're all about teaching people. Right. We certainly don't have this mastered, but passing on sort of what we've learned on this front, and helping our leaders say, listen, like leaders have it worse because they have all the pressure of the regular person, right? Like of a regular individual. But add to that the pressure of providing jobs for their employees and making payroll, making sure the company, like the pressures on leaders. And even if you're not an owner, if you're a departmental leader or an executive leader, there's more pressure, there's more at stake. And so add that. Add more pressure and more weight to a really faulty foundation, and what you got is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, listen.
I want you to jump in with the other, because we gave the first of the 3 types of thinking or brains, the socialized brain. I think one of the ways it shows up for leaders, and so I want you to mention the other 2. You're going to leave everybody hanging, going, well, what the hell? What are the 3?
Tune in next month.
Yeah, exactly. But I think one of the ways it shows up, we certainly see it with leaders. They take on the problems of their team, right? They get overly involved. They're attending meetings they don't need to be in just because somebody said, oh, I'd really like it if you would be, right? The socialized brain and how it shows up for leaders in actual practical busy calendar, solving the problems that they don't need to solve, becoming the bottleneck within their organization. We're going to talk about that in an episode coming up, but all of those things are all part of what we're talking about when we talk about if this is you, if you're doing all these things, you're probably still functioning in that 7 out of 10.
100%. The other 2 stages, real quickly. The second stage is the self-authoring brain. That's around 28% of the population move out of socialized into self-authoring. Self-authoring. So you are becoming more the author of your own life. All right. Yeah, you're finding your sense of agency. You're getting clearer on who you are and what you stand for. And you're you're willing to stand apart from
You're probably
the crowd.
rejecting some of the old ways, right? Because now
100%.
I'm writing my own story.
I'm writing my own story. Now, the thing with self-authoring is it can lead to a real rigid way of thinking that I'm right, you're wrong, my way's better.
Wow.
Right? If you don't remain flexible. So they identify that there is a stage. The final stage is self-transforming. And self-transforming, get this, less than 2% of the population, they estimate, ever reach there, are able to embrace the self-authoring piece of a sense of agency and a sense of self, and yet still remain connected, still remain curious, still remain open. So these people have a sense of who they are and what they stand for, but their view is still fluid. It's still flexible, not bending to fit in, but bending because it's learning, flexing because it's growing and evolving
Curiosity.
as it connects with people of different points of view. And I remember when I read that, I said, fuck, that's what I want to be. That self-transforming leader.
And if someone wants to really read a beautiful book that doesn't name those things clinically, but shows that arc of life, is The Alchemist.
Oh yeah, great.
And it's the story of a boy.
Pablo.
Yes.
Yeah. Pablo something.
Yes.
Pablo
He's an
somebody
author
other.
from,
Yes.
from either Brazil or yeah, I think a Brazilian fellow.
Yeah.
But it is that story of the socialized, self-authoring. I'm going out on my own adventure, but then self-transforming is, I'm coming back to my original tribe or place or people, but now I'm my own person in it.
Yeah.
And I'm no longer, screw that. I'm doing my own thing. You're just at peace to re-engage. And all three of us have had our own alchemist journey from that socialized brain to the self-authoring, and then coming into the self-transforming. So I sometimes snap back into the other stuff. Things trigger me.
Yeah.
But that journey, and let's just connect that, because that socialized, self-authoring, self-transforming journey is also where some of that peace is, that non-frantic busyness is sometimes when we don't keep moving and we get stuck in old scripts and old patterns and old beliefs or old hurts. And that creates that internal busyness or internal anxiety.
I call it noise. So I've been working with this model with a lot of my leaders. I recently did some training for some upper level directors of a government agency, and these are folks that don't control the system that they're in, but are required to make shit happen, right? So that they would describe a frantic pace, describe themselves as busy and overwhelmed. And we talked about just this simple framework of control, influence, and noise. And I actually had them identify the primary initiative that they were working on at the time where they were experiencing the most frustration. And I gave them 10 minutes. I said, I want you to write down on a sheet of paper every moving part, every player, every decision, every system. Don't go into detail, but just make a list of all the things that are part of this project or this initiative that's causing you tremendous stress. And so they did that. And then I applied the lens of, let's apply control, influence, noise. Let's label them. Control is, I can change it. I have the authority, I have the power, I can push a button, I can pull a lever, I can flip a switch without asking for permission. I have control, I can actually change it. Influence is, I know someone who can push the button, flip a lever, flip a switch, but I don't have direct control, but through relationship, through influence, I can influence where that's going, right? Even though I don't control it. Noise is just that. Yeah. You certainly can't control it. And if you're honest with yourself, you probably can't influence it either. I had them go through and just put the letters, corresponding letters, beside everything they had written.
or N?
Exactly. And I then asked them, after they completed the exercise, what most surprised them as leaders. Every single one of them. How much of my best energy is going to noise?
Wow.
Right? Wow. So when we talk about being overwhelmed, again, we talk about being misaligned, whether that's true in your personal life. And listen, we're talking about leaders here, but you talked about being a young dad. Like, think of parents that are feeling overwhelmed, moms that are feeling overwhelmed, dads that are feeling overwhelmed, single people that are feeling overwhelmed in their life. Again, what can you control? What can you influence? What's just noise? unless you do the work of getting clear on who you are and what you stand for, you confuse noise with signal. You can't tell the difference.
Right.
So your energy output, or your best energy and focus, goes out almost equally to all things. So whether I can do something about it or not, I'm approaching it as though I can. And so what I'm doing is I'm wasting energy. It's like taking good, hard-earned money and throwing it into an investment that you know you're going to lose it all.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and yet we keep doing it over and over again.
And then you made this point, but I want to reinforce it. If we spend our day in the noise, then we were busy. So we come home. I was busy today, but you didn't do anything. I mean, you did something.
You did a bunch of things.
You did a bunch of things, but I think about all these conversations in the workplace where a couple of people are complaining about the boss, or they're talking about something that they can't influence or they can't control. All that office back talk and politics, it's just so prevalent. I mean, it's everywhere. And I think the people who succeed in life are the ones who find a way to disconnect from the noise, pull away from the noise, leave the conversation. But there's pressure to get sucked into the below the line complaining, bitching about your boss, because that's sort of the way it is. But that's not the way to success. It's not the way to peace. It's not the way to achievement and accomplishment.
We know, so I think, those listening, there's probably people going, yeah, no, I know, I need the reset. And we've all had that, and yet we seem to delay it. It's almost like the reset isn't for most people a moment, right? It kind of pulls for a little bit. What's that been like for you when you see it, you know it, and you push on for another couple of weeks, or you kind of
a few extra years. I wish it was only
or a few extra years,
a couple of weeks, because I know in my personal life, even in my leadership, and when I joke around sometimes about being a slow learner, but it's because there's moments of awareness that have come, right? It took me 3 burnouts before. Now with each one of those, though, it's not like I wasn't learning anything. I learned enough to keep going, and I describe it in when I told my story, that I would just do enough work to get back in the game, right? So like, it's coach, put me back in, I'm okay, right? But not enough.
Probably different work each time.
Different work, similar work. I mean, it really, when you come back down to it, it's all fundamental work. Getting clear on who you are, what matters to you, what's important to you, why are you here? Those needs of feeling like that sense of worthiness and radical self-acceptance, of genuine connection, that people are connecting to you, not some pseudo you that you've created to fit in, and that your life has meaning because you feel like you've figured out your purpose, or at least enough of it that you feel that there's some energy there. But I would do enough work to get back in the game, but not enough work to heal. So there's often lag between awareness and action, and this is where getting support, getting help, can really cut down the time, the lag. It helps reduce the lag, because left to ourselves, we tend to gravitate back to what we know. Like we continue to burn ourselves out being busy, hoping maybe this time it'll work, right? Sometimes we need someone to say, hey, you're going down that same path again. We talked about this, like, how do you want to do this differently? Those resets can be really important, whether that's a friend, or whether that's a coach, or whether that's a group of people that you have that relationship with, involving other people. As long as you keep trying to shift this on your own, the lag will be long. Yeah.
Here's a real beautiful reset. I think we've had this conversation before. And if you're listening to this or watching, this can really help. Even if you just jot down these, it's called the 5 bridges to reset, or 5 bridges to change. So write these 5 thoughts down. I will start. I will stop. Okay, those are your first 2.
Yep.
I will do more of. I will do less of.
Yep.
And then finally, I will continue, because some things you are doing right and you don't want to change.
You don't want to adjust.
And so
love that.
I recommend doing that in a conversation with someone, a coach or a mentor, or someone you trust, because there's accountability. But that is just those 5 questions gets the hamster wheel, the gerbil wheel stopping. It moves you into some kind of reflective consciousness that says, oh, yeah, I don't want to just keep doing the same thing, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a treat, expecting a different result.
Nice pivot there.
So, and I know that's only one tool. This is what we do all the time. We're with leaders who want to stop the spinning wheel of insanity. But it's so helpful to do exactly what you said, Eric, is just, okay, let's find a way to interrupt or disrupt the pattern and
the autopilot.
Yes. And then the other thing that I like to start my New Year, we all remember New Year's Eve resolutions, and they don't work. But I do like to start on December 1st. So whatever I'm aiming for on January 1st, I start at December, then I've got a month already. So it's always, part of it is getting in shape and eating better.
Right.
So rather than waiting, because you can always wait, kick the can down the road. Oh yeah, January 1st I'll start, but not on January 1st, because that's the day after New Year's. Maybe January 2nd I'll start.
Oh, no, wait a second. It's not a family dinner to go to.
Weekend, the 8th, and then now it's April, and or whenever this podcast is released. So start now. That's like someday, one day, maybe I will do it. But I would say start now, like determine that today is the day that I start with a small step.
Right.
One push-up or
small rep. Do the reps.
Do the reps.
Do the reps. But you talked about, and I love that framework. It's a great framework, similar to I'll go like, what do you need to delegate? If I'm talking to a leader, what do you need to delete completely from what do you need to defer, right, to a later date?
Yes.
What do you need to decrease, turn it down, right?
Delegate,
yeah, right, to a team member. It's again getting you thinking about what you're doing. Jim Harrington, my mentor, said this to me years ago. Never forgot it. The single biggest reason why we do not achieve our full potential as humans, and especially as leaders, is we don't stop often enough to think deeply about what we're doing.
Right.
Most leaders, when I ask them, what kind of reflective practice do you have? They look at me as though I'm coming, like just stepped off a spaceship or something. Like they're like, what do you mean? Like sit in the lotus position and meditate? I said, well, maybe. Or maybe just once a week, you sit down with yourself and just review, how did things go and how am I doing? And I remember saying it to one of my leaders. I said, you got to get present to what's under the hood. And she looked at me and said, what does that even mean?
Right.
What does that even mean? I said, well, how are you feeling? And what are you celebrating? And what's frustrating you right now?
Right.
Without some form of reflective practice, we will stay on that hamster wheel,
right,
because we are not interrupting the autopilot or even analyzing or even just taking a casual glance of how am I living my life and am I okay with it? What's funny is we're present to the fact we're unhappy.
Yeah.
We're present to the fact that we're stressed and overwhelmed. And part of me says, well, if you're able to focus on that, great. You have the mental discipline to apply some of that energy towards how am I living my life and am I happy with this and what changes do I want to make and what matters most to me right now. You don't need to figure out your whole life to take a step in the right direction. What's the next step that matters most? Take that small step, as you mentioned.
Eric, you could not have said it any better. And I just hope that people that are watching and listening say, that's me. I need to shift out of the autopilot and shift into whatever you want to call it, purpose-filled living, living your values, whatever you want to call it.
What was the phrase you used earlier from that quote?
Life designed, wholeheartedness?
Like it's not...
My wholehearted journey.
And,
love that.
And for the person who's, I'm just too, that all sounds great, I'm too busy to do that.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you have control over that. And it is a lie we tell ourselves when we say, no, it's everybody. No, you are choosing to allow that to happen. You are choosing to allow other people to take control of that. You absolutely have the ability to do these things if you truly want to do them.
And I agree 100%. I've said often, we are never as stuck as we think we are. There's always a way forward. And yet I remember more than one season in my life where I couldn't see a way forward, and I couldn't believe that. So there are folks that probably just heard you say that and they're saying like, fuck you, Rob.
Yeah.
Like I can't, like, you don't understand my situation. We think of leaders that we work with, and we recently did a webinar for our leaders called You're Still the System, which basically when we talk about being busy and we talk about like meaningless activity and just going from one thing to the next, like so many business owners, especially business owners and founders who are at the kind of the center of everything. Being at the center of everything is how they got the damn thing going. It's part of what made them successful. It's also what is now right? Like making the whole damn thing feel so heavy because everything still has to go through them. So just like our lives, if we approach it mindlessly or if we approach it without care, we're just going to, this is going to happen. It's the same in business and it just multiplies over and over and over again.
And I will add it, while it is fully within your control and no one else can do it for you, doing it with others.
Get help.
Absolutely powerful. Get the help. You don't, while you are the one that has to do it, has to decide you're going to do it, you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
And that's what we believe this even at Rhapsody, right? It's why we formed. We now have something called the Inner Circle where we pull we pull all of our leaders together, not to just sit around and, hey, have another networking event. We get deep into the issues that they're dealing with in our coaching. That's exactly what we do. It's what you're doing with the Foundry. We're recognizing the most powerful place that you can make individual change is within community.
Yeah, if you're going to shift your reality, one, you're likely not going to be, you have to take ownership of that process, 100%.
Yeah.
One of the most freeing things I ever embraced as a fundamental belief is that I am my own primary caregiver. I am my own primary caregiver. Doesn't mean that I can meet all my own needs on my own, but I am responsible to make sure those needs get met. So if I have a need in my primary relationship with Kate and I don't voice that, it's not on her to guess or figure it out, or because she loves me, she should know. It's not her, right? It's not her role to read my mind. It's my responsibility to make it known.
Yeah.
And what I'll say is, if you're listening to this and it's resonating with you, but there's also a sense of frustration because you can't see a way forward, you're not alone and you're not special. Like, you're special as a human being, but you're not special. This is not unique to you. If you're watching right now, like, you're in great company. When we bring our leaders together, one of the most common things we hear from them when they, especially if they're new to this type of experience, is they are sitting down with leaders from different industries, different walks of life, different ages and stages, some that are, multi-millionaires, some that are just getting started out, and they sit and they start to talk with each other. It's a great equalizer. And what do we hear? We're dealing with the same shit. It's the same challenges, right? It's again, getting clear on what really matters and making sure that I'm giving more of my best energy. Listen, to think that you won't give some of your energy to noise, unrealistic, also a fantasy.
It's a fantasy.
But can you can you commit to trying to dial up your best energy 10% more, 20% more towards the things you control and influence, and dial down the fucking volume on what is just, dial into signal more and less into noise, and you'll find right there, you'll begin to find the energy, the hope, the peace, the momentum that you've been looking for. But until you get clear on that, you can't even hear the music playing. All you hear is static.
Eric's just talked to the audience. You were just speaking very
Sorry,
much. No, that was great.
Got carried away, folks.
Eric was preaching for a few minutes there, but it's good.
No offering today.
But
you're off the hook.
It's good food. It's good for us to take. Steve, what would you say if you were speaking to the leaders who are listening right now that they're in this? What would you say to them?
I would just circle back to do not delay this. Not someday, one day, perhaps. Just start.
Do it now.
Start that one rep and get a journal, start journaling, or
have the conversation.
Reach out to somebody, have the conversation. Whatever it is, just say, okay, today's the day. Okay, yep, it's starting today. And then make that action. And that first concrete step usually leads to the second, to the third, and it will get you on your way.
Yeah. And I would just add it, and it really goes into what everything has been said here. It's possible. It really is the treadmill you're on, the busyness you're on, the craziness you're in, all of that. It is possible to get out of that. It is possible to truly enjoy and experience life being aligned with what matters to you. And it does require taking those first steps, doing it in community, getting really clear on what matters and what's important. And I really want to encourage each and every one of you to take those first couple of steps. I want to thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you, gentlemen. This has been a great conversation for sure. Thank you
Always
to all of you that are listening. We've talked often today about Rhapsody. Rhapsody is not only the sponsor of the Living Richly podcast, but Rhapsody is the company that we all get to do all of the things that we do in. And I want to encourage you, if you're a business leader, to take a few minutes to go to rhapsodystrategies.com. There's all kinds of great resources there. There's great opportunities to just raise your hand and say, hey, maybe you can help me. We'd love to have that conversation with you. For the rest of you and for all of you, we want to encourage you, if this has spoken to you, that you take a moment to like it, to comment on it, to share it. It helps us just really boost and promote the podcast. Make sure you check out our Facebook group, and you can find out all that information at livingrichly.me.
And before you sign us off, we have we're going to put this on the screen, a link to a custom GPT that we built called the Year You've Always Wanted. And it's designed to walk you through an interview to help you get clear on values and goals and what really matters most. But we'll make that available to you for free. We'll add that to the notes and get it on the screen.
Yeah, that's a great one as well. Until next time, get out there and live your best life.